All right, time to take a look at the pneumatic can crusher. So this is nice to see. We got a nice big piston here. It's got a threaded end, and we do have that covered with a rubber bumper. And it's even labeled the fittings are 1/4 inch, so we know exactly what these are if we ever want to change them out. Cool. So we got the base, and we got our valve. So this is actually a fairly sturdy looking base, which is great. We can see the piston is going to mount on top, and it has 4 spots for that to thread in. And we got a spot for our valve to stick on the side. It does come with a warning sticker for your hands because we don't want anybody getting pinched. And we got a decent base in the bottom and a slot out the back so we can just drop those cans out when we're done. So we got a standard push button valve, and I do love seeing these. So you normally see red buttons like this as E-stops, but this is pneumatic. But it's going to work basically the same way. You push it down to fire, then you twist to release. Now I was expecting to have to install all these fittings, but they actually put everything on for me, so that's really nice. So we got 2 mufflers on here, so that's going to make it quieter. That's the entire purpose of this. It also can help to prevent some, backflow or any kind of debris or particles getting inside the valve. So this keeps it cleaner and it makes it quieter. It's great that they're using those. We got an angled inlet here, so we can put that at whatever orientation is easier for us. So that's nice. Kind of hard to see, but right there you can see that is an 8. So this is using 8mm hose. And for the outlet, we got the same thing. These are both 8mm. So everything on here is 8mm hose, which is great because that's something I use all the time. You can get it pretty cheap, but what's also great about this is if I don't want to, I don't even have to mount this on the base. I can go put this at the wall at the other side of the room. If I'm worried about like my hand getting pinched or anything like that, or if I'm gonna let my kids use it, I can put this somewhere else so that they can just put the can in, go over there, slap the button, it crushes the can. Comes with a full color instruction manual and 2 pieces of hose. Now, it looks like this elbow was supposed to be attached here, but it broke off in shipping, which is not a big deal because they actually gave us a bag full of extra stuff. Okay. So that is the end for the piston. So this is going to be what actually flattens the can. And this is a nice heavy piece of metal. So that's nice. And all the threads and everything on here looks like it's in good shape. And alongside that, we got 2 extra fittings and we got a whole bunch of screws, bolts, and Allen wrenches to get everything installed. So I'm going to start out by replacing these fittings. And we'll install these. Now what's cool about this is that you could just take whatever kind of fitting that you want and install it on here. You don't have to use these 8mm if you want to increase that hose to a 12mm, whatever the heck it is you want to put on there. As long as you got the basic components, the piston is probably the biggest thing. You can use this for a lot of different purposes. Okay, so we are set there. Now the last thing is going to be the valve. So with the button out, if I blow into this fitting, it comes out right here. And with the button in, it comes out right here. So we want to attach this side because that is going to drive the piston down to the top fitting. All right, so that way when air comes in, it goes in there, pushes the piston down. On the bottom, that is going to attach right here. So that is the setup. Now the one thing that's going to impede us here is we have to actually hook our own compressor up to this. Now we could take an 8mm hose, plug it into here, and plug that into a compressor somehow, so you could use another 8mm quick disconnect, and we could attach that to a coupler for an air hose, and we could go that way. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this off. I'm going to put on my own elbow and my own quick coupler right here. That way I can just run my line right to it from my reel. I might have to remove one of these mufflers to get it on. We'll find out. Yep, I have to remove these. Not a big deal. These are a lot easier to install. And it looks like these holes are 1/8 inch MPT, so a little bit smaller. So if you're going to be replacing those mufflers, you need to use slightly different. So the MPT is a little bit too big, so this is a BSPT. I'm just going to put a couple wraps on here. This is going to be a little bit bigger, so I'm not going to be able to get a whole lot of threads. So just know, if you're going to be doing this, use BSPT, not NPT. I want it pointing that way when I'm done. There we go. Okay, I'm going to disconnect these. And we'll screw that into the side. So I've got a long bolt with a washer. I'm just going to drop that in here. And drop that in the hole. And I've got a nut that I'm going to hold on the back. I'll do that exact same thing for the other hole. Everything lines up good, so that's good. So just going to hold that nut with my finger and tighten it up. If you need to, you can use a wrench. But this doesn't have to be super tight. Just has to hold it. And so the elbow I provided, I'm also going to be providing this coupler. Now I can attach it directly to my compressor reel. So again, just use a little Teflon tape and spin that in. There you go. So now it's time for the piston. So you can see we got these 4 threaded holes in the bottom, and it actually came with 5 of these screws. So you just take this and thread into the bottom. Probably going to be easier to remove this cap now. Yeah, I do like that they got everything cut very nicely. I don't have to worry about any of the holes not lining up. Everything just kind of going right where it needs to go. So I don't want to tighten these up yet because I want to get to the ones on the bottom. Trying to get that from this side is going to be difficult, but they do have a slot cut in so we can actually get to that from this side. Kind of a small area, but you can make it work. And then we want to tighten all these up. So it's more important that we get these a little bit more tight just because we don't want this thing bending or flexing whenever it's crushing a can. It doesn't have to be super tight, it just has to be relatively tight. Hook these hoses back up. There we go. And then the last thing is attaching our hammer end, and that just threads on. Okay, now you can see that we could thread that in quite a bit, and we could have these threads exposed, but we don't want that hitting the can. We want this hitting the can. So I'm going to unthread this a bit, just to the point where it's right there at the end, and then lock down this nut. And if you need to, you can use a pipe wrench to grab onto this so it doesn't spin. I'm just going to try to hold it by hand. There we go. So this is the only modification I made to this thing. I put this elbow on here with the coupler so I can attach my reel to it. But I mean, you could put whatever you want to on here. You could put a hose whip so that you can just run it wherever. You can put a full-on line onto it. The fact that they made this thing so you could attach whatever you want to it, that's what I really like. All right, so I'm set with 90 PSI right now. So I could hear a slight leak from this fitting, so I'm just going to tighten that one up a bit. And that is one that I installed. So I probably should have just put Teflon tape on there. I didn't do that, so that's my fault. Let's try that again. Well, still, just use it like that and see what happens. So if you plug this in and the piston comes down, that means that these 2 hoses were swapped. So just swap those and it'll start working properly. So, look at that. That was so easy. Now, I probably shouldn't have just put my hand in there. It does have that slot in the bottom, so you put this over a trash can or something like that, and then the cans just fall right in. But that works no problem, and that's just with 90 PSI. Very cool. So yeah, that is a real easy way of crushing cans.